Today on Calvin's Garage, I'm really excited because I've got a new truck. Let's go for a ride. So I have had the truck, I bought the truck in mid-December and it's got a misfire. And that's what all the dinging and stuff is about. It's also warning me about the tire pressure because it thinks the front tires are flat even though they're not. So I've driven it around the last couple of days, and the dings are annoying, and it kind of stumbles on acceleration, and it's, you know, it's got some kinks in it, but overall it seems like a good truck. It's got too many features. I've flown airplanes with fewer buttons and switches and stuff than this thing. So this is the truck I just picked up at the auction, and it's going to replace my Pontiac. My Pontiac has too many issues at this point, so it was time for something new. So I picked this up. The high bid was $3,500, and I think I got a really good deal on it. Of the vehicles at the auction that sold for under $4,000, this one was the best. The other ones that were within that price range, there was an old Ford with like 250,000 miles on it. It had a trouble where it would stumble when you hit the gas. Now it could have been a fuel filter or it could have been a fuel pump, but why take those chances? And then there was another Ford that was actually very low miles, but it looked on the outside like it was really rough, so it definitely wasn't treated well. And it had a ton of lights on the dash, like transmission, you know, service transmission, service traction control, service this, service that. So it could have been a simple loose connection, but it could have been a lot more. And I just don't feel like dealing with electrical issues. I've already dealt with enough electrical issues on the Pontiac, most of which I haven't fixed. Then the other vehicles, there were several that just would not start, and that's a whole can of worms, and I wasn't looking for a project. I'm looking for something that I can get in and drive. And then there was some old Chevys that were starting to rust out. It turns out that they were originally from Denver. So they were from up in the snow, and so they weren't as bad as what you'd see up in Vermont, but still, you know, I'm down here in Texas. I want one of these nice southern vehicles with absolutely no rust on it. But you can't get a vehicle for $4,000 without having to fix some issues, and so that's what I'm out here doing today, is fixing those minor issues to make this a reliable daily driver. The first thing is the tail lights. Now the tail light housing is cracked on this, and that's probably why I'm having issues with the tail light. When this housing gets cracked, the bulb gets exposed to moisture, water gets in there, and it can cause the bulb to blow prematurely. And I noticed on the other side that it's also cracked, but this one is giving me issues right now, and I don't feel like getting a whole new housing, so I'm just gonna throw another bulb in it and we'll see how long it lasts. If I keep having issues where the bulb keeps blowing, I'll eventually replace this housing. Stick that somewhere where it won't fall or break anymore. So the headlight housings for this vehicle are about 80 bucks a piece, which is pretty cheap compared to some other vehicles out there, but I just really didn't want to spend that money right now. So I used packing tape to seal up the cracks on the headlight housing and also sealed around the edge of the housing. I also had to replace the reverse light sockets because water had been getting in there and had been corroding the contacts where it connects with the bulb. And I also decided to drill drain holes into the taillight housing so that if any water did get in, it would drain out and not fill up the reverse light socket and rust it out. You might think drilling holes kind of defeats the purpose of sealing it up, but I only sealed the top half, and the holes are on the very bottom. And if you've ever turned a bucket upside down and dunked it underwater, you know that unless I completely submerge the taillights, it's not going to let much water go into the housing. And if any water does get in through the top, the part that I sealed with packing tape, it will drain out in at the bottom. But eventually I am going to buy new taillight housings. I also had to do something similar with the third brake light because the foam that is supposed to seal that up was starting to wear out, so I just added some packing tape to the top side of it to keep water from getting down in and blowing that bulb. Okay, so there's two little stickers there. One of them, the one on the bottom, I can already see from here that that's really loose, so that shouldn't be much of an issue to scrape off. It might leave some residue, but the brake clean should take care of that. The one I am not sure about is the top one. Those are actual auto decals, so they'll probably be more difficult to take off. So much so to the point where I'm debating whether it's worth it. I definitely don't like the decal, but do I dislike it enough to go through the trouble of getting it off of there? I don't know, but the first thing I need to do is get up there and get at that sticker. Yeah, it's definitely still readable. I decided to leave the ram's heads. I don't really understand the decal. I feel like if the goal is to not draw the attention of the police, writing legal on the back, some officers might take that as a challenge. Oh yeah, you say you're legal, huh? Well, let's see about that. Okay, so what are the next steps with this? Now you might be wondering, hey, why don't you take off the sticker, the Ritchie Brothers sticker? Well, the reason for that is the whole windshield has to be replaced. There's a crack that runs from a chip over there all the way across the windshield. So the entire windshield's got to get replaced. I'm replacing it next week. So why take the stickers off if you're just going to replace the windshield anyway? Just replacing one fuel injector. And it's actually pretty easy to get to, except for the fact that it's cylinder number 7, so it's way in the back on the driver's side. The other thing I need to do, I noticed as I stepped on this bumper, it seemed to like move or give a little, so I do need to check out this bumper and see how well it's installed.